Welcome to our continuing series, Fine Poetry, poems that touch deeper chords. Siegfried Sassoon, 1886-1967. Part 1. Siegfried Sassoon was an English poet, writer, and soldier. Decorated for bravery on the Western Front, he became one of the leading poets of the First World War. His poetry both described the horrors of the trenches and satirized the patriotic pretensions of those who, in Sassoon's view, were responsible for a jingoism-fueled war. Sassoon became a focal point for dissent within the armed forces when he made a lone protest against the continuation of the war in his Soldier's Declaration of 1917, culminating in his admission to a military psychiatric hospital that resulted in his forming a friendship with Wilfred Owen, who was greatly influenced by him. Parani mentions Siegfried Sassoon in the following paragraph. There are many among the modern writers who, under the stress of life, have given evidence of a capacity to rise to intuitive perception or inspired expression or psychic insight in their creation. There is the perception of the universal subjectivity on their part, and it gives a new vision of nature, of the land and the sea and the earth and its objects, a new way of looking at human relations, a vision of the collectivity or of humanity, carrying all together a new throb. And there is, above all, in most of them, a perception of the supra-rational and a tendency to concretize, to objectivize, so to say, inner states or spiritual experiences. Among these poets may be counted C. Day Lewis, George Barker, Stephen Spender, W.H. Auden, Peter Yates, Walter Allen, Edith Sitwell, David Gascoigne, J.A. Chadwick, alias Arjava, K.D. Sethna, Siegfried Sassoon, Herbert Reed, to give only a few names out of the many. Once again, we refer you to Wikipedia for extensive biographical information on Sassoon. Aftermath. Have you forgotten yet? For the world's events have rumbled on since those gagged days, like traffic checked while at the crossing of city ways. And the haunted gap in your mind has filled with thoughts that flow like clouds in the lit heaven of life, and you're a man reprieved to go, taking your peaceful share of time with joy to spare. But the past is just the same, and war's a bloody game. Have you forgotten yet? Look down and swear by the slain of the war that you'll never forget. Do you remember the dark months you held the sector at Mametz? The night you watched and wired and dug and piled sandbags on parapets? Do you remember the rats and the stench of corpses rotting in front of the front-line trench, and dawn coming dirty white and chill with the hopeless rain, do you ever stop and ask, is it all going to happen again? Do you remember that hour of din before the attack, and the anger, the blind compassion that seized and shook you then, as you peered at the doomed and haggard faces of your men? Do you remember the stretcher cases lurching back with dying eyes and lolling heads, those ashen gray masks of the lads who once were keen and kind and gay? Have you forgotten yet? Look up and swear by the green of the spring that you'll never forget. Absolution. The anguish of the earth absolves our eyes, till beauty shines in all that we can see. War is our scourge, yet war has made us wise, and fighting for our freedom, we are free. Horror of wounds and anger at the foe, and loss of things desired, all these must pass. We are the happy legion, for we know time's but a golden wind that shakes the grass. There was an hour when we were loath to part. From life we longed to share no less than others. Now, having claimed this heritage of heart, what need we more, my comrades and my brothers? A poplar and the moon. There stood a poplar, tall and straight. The fair round moon, uprisen late, made the long shadow on the grass a ghostly bridge twixt heaven and me. But May with slumbrous nights must pass, and blustering winds will strip the tree, and I've no magic to express the moment of that loveliness. So from these words you'll never guess the stars and lilies I could see. A mystic as soldier, I lived my days apart, dreaming fair songs for God. By the glory in my heart, covered and crowned and shod. Now God is in the strife, and I must seek him there, where death outnumbers life, and fury smites the air. I walk the secret way, with anger in my brain. O music through my clay, when will you sound again? Alone. I've listened, and all the sounds I heard were music, wind and stream and bird. With youth who sang from hill to hill, I've listened. My heart is hungry still. I've looked, the morning world was green, Bright roofs and towers of town I've seen, and stars wheeling through the wingless night. I've looked, and my soul yet longs for light. I've thought, but in my sense survives only the impulse of those lives that were my making. Hear me say, I've thought, and darkness hides my day.